Hey everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, as always, Sam Joseph, and today we're very lucky to have comedian Dr. Helen joining us. Dr. Helen, how's it all going?
Hi, it's going all right. How about you?
Yeah. No, well, as I was saying, I'm quite excited. Comedy. Actually, let's start off with a thing. I've listened to many thousands of comedy podcasts now, and all sorts of comedians talking about the way, and then everybody knows that there is no way. It's all up to each individual person. But there was one, and I forget now who said this. It was on the Comedians podcast some time ago. They were talking about how they didn't push for things. Like there's kind of a danger with comedy, and perhaps in life, where if you're kind of always trying to get that, I mean, its ambition is lauded and it's like great and whatever, but there's an extent that you might end up getting things maybe a little bit before you're ready or a little bit before
Mm.
your time. So I'm kind of at the moment I'm leaning into allowing things to happen as they occur. Does that
Yeah,
make any sense?
as they go. Okay, yeah. Going with the flow is your.
There you go. Yeah.
Whereas, you see, I'm working on this whole now getting over being able to shamelessly advertise myself to people.
Oh, really?
You're like you go, okay, I'm doing this, come here. I've got a
Ah,
show, buy some tickets, please, I'm
right.
desperate. There's that kind of thing.
Yes.
So it's really uncomfortable. Generally speaking, I think as British people, it's very
Right.
uncomfortable to push yourself forward for advertising.
Interesting.
And and so, I've learned that you just have to keep going. Yeah, I'm also here. Pay
Yes.
attention to me.
Yes. And is that something? Well, some people say that I'm sort of, I should be identifying as an American because I am indeed British, but I've never had that problem. I've had the opposite problem that I put too much pressure on people to do the things that I want them to do. But
Right.
it is atypically British. But so you find yourself doing comedy, and yeah, like you have a feeling of like you kind of don't want to bother people about this show you're doing. Is that the kind of thing?
Well, I think it's that you have to realize that you're the one who has to make people realize that you actually exist and you're there to do comedy and whatever it is for enough money they want you
Uh,
to, and within the law. And
well, given.
and so it's that kind of removing that inhibition of, oh, I better contact everyone
Right.
and see if they oh, I can do this, please take me. Okay, this is a complete aside. My mother's first cousin was
Oh,
an
yes.
actress.
Okay.
And she did stuff with, like, she did rep with like Anthony Hopkins and people like that.
Oh, wow.
She's
Yeah.
dead now, but she was lovely.
Right.
Um, and she sort of said she realized that actually where sort of a lot of other actresses at the time would sort of go, oh, oh, they just asked me for this role. She realized when she was older that
Uh,
actually no, they had worked really hard and sucked up a great deal to get that role. So
right.
it's
Right.
it's interesting. It's that balance of not being too pushy, but not also pretending that you're not there. That kind of,
Right.
I'm here, but I'm not obnoxious about it.
Yes. Well, if people were to ask me to list 10 adjectives that I associated with you, obnoxious would not be in them. Absolutely not.
That's the
But
dream.
I'm realizing that perhaps for the listeners who maybe haven't don't know you so well, should we leap into what we often start with is a sort of comedy origin story, how you got into comedy, and that can carry on into like how it's all going now and some of the things that you're doing at the moment.
Yeah, we can. So I was studying my PhD,
Hmm.
so human DNA replication and stuff.
Oh, yes.
And as part of the training, you have this kind of like graduate researcher program.
Uh-huh.
And so they wanted you to do stuff
Yes.
so that you had transferable skills when you left
Right.
the world of research, which is
Okay.
the inevitable end for most people.
Right.
And so on the promise of a free lunch,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I went to this like comedy in science, develop your communication, audience interaction skills. And it was run by this sort of science comedy group called The Variables. There you go, that's a nice plug. The
Yeah.
Variables.
Great.
And so we run like three shows a year, and it's like science comedy variety.
Oh, wow.
And I did the training, and about 2 weeks later, I did a 10-minute spot on one of their shows,
Right.
and I've been going ever since, really.
Wow. Fantastic.
Admittedly, on and off
Yes. Okay.
with other life. And then the pandemic, I was like, I'm not doing anything online.
Right.
If scientists are difficult enough to look interested,
Yes.
there's no way you're going to make anyone funny. Like, don't
yes.
know.
Yes, yes. No, I mean, well, I would agree. I mean, I think Zoom gigs are particularly painful. I am myself very much into virtual reality comedy, which I think
Yeah.
while still not at the level of in person, is an interesting developing area. But that's fantastic. Yeah. So I mean, I think Snap, and so your PhD is in human DNA replication. Did you say?
Yeah.
And so that's basically you're trying to clone people. You're trying to make copies of yourself. Is that what it was? You
Not
thought there
quite.
wasn't enough of the no, go on.
No, mine is in the category of it will probably be useful when we're dead.
Okay.
So it's
Right.
like fundamental biology, like where on the human genome does DNA start copying itself?
Uh-huh.
And so if there you have 2 meters of DNA inside each cell.
Right.
If we were to start at one end and finish at the other, it would take far too
Mm-mm.
long and you'd be dead.
Right.
So they try and get it done within 8 hours. And I was trying to work out why a starting point is a starting point for DNA to come.
Okay. So sort of so where in the sequence that to start and why start there is
Yeah,
kind of the question, right?
yeah.
And presumably, I mean, this is as it happens. I've also got a PhD myself, which happens to be in like cognitive science and neural networks. But yeah, and I sort of stay away from the budget, but I roughly know. And I'm sure all of our listeners know more than me about the DNA replication. But I guess the DNA replication is taking place, I guess, in natural processes as your throughout your life, and then also for reproduction is so it's like across the board. Like how does it make copies of itself is the big
Yeah,
question, I
pretty
guess.
much. It's, the essence of how we come into existing. If it
Yes.
didn't happen, we would not be.
No, indeed. Indeed.
So I would argue it's quite useful. For grant applications, you say that there's like it's you could inform on cancer is
Yes.
the way you make it accessible and someone wants
Yes.
to give you
Yes.
money.
Yes. Yes.
But like, okay, we're getting dangerously into the science rather than the comedy. It's hard to get fundamental science funded
Yes.
because
Tell me about it.
you have more money if it's like a treatment that will be
Yeah.
at bedside in the next 20 years. And
Yes.
so it makes it trickier. Like it, yeah. But in 100 years' time, this will be
Yes.
really helpful.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
indeed. I mean, things like number theory, which was pursued for many, many years, without really having an application, it, underpins now cryptocurrency and cryptographics. And so, yes, I mean, there's always the argument for fundamental research. And so, are you now continuing to do both research and comedy? You're winding two strands into a sort of a double helix.
Wow. So DNA pun. I no, so I love it. It just makes me happy. No one else does them. So no, I there are no jobs or money in academic research at the minute.
Right.
For legal purposes, this is my personal opinion, but there are no jobs or money.
Okay.
So I am now in the world of freelancing, which
Oh yeah.
means I will do anything for enough money.
Oh.
Right. But no, like it's like science communication stuff and
Right.
comedy and whatever anyone will pay me for.
Yeah, no, I mean the science communication and I mean it sounds, I mean I kind of as a sort of person who's also, got a toe in the science pool and a toe in the comedy pool, it sounds very exciting. Is the variables, is the comedy and science, is that continuing with regularity? Is that, is that available?
So variables, yeah, we just finished. We just did a gig last Wednesday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we've missed that. But our next one is part of the Cambridge Formerly Science Festival, now festival,
Oh right.
on the 2nd of April.
Oh great, great,
Mm.
excellent.
So, here, Portland Arms at 7:30.
Right,
You get a bunch of scientists who turn up and try to be funny.
right.
I mean, and we think we are. So this is
Well, I'm excited to come and see. And is the and how is the mixing? Is it because I mean it's complex enough to do things that are funny. Are you just saying that we're going to do funny things on science related stuff, or is there also a desire to kind of like communicate and educate in the same about science in the same?
depends on the performer.
Oh,
So
oh yeah,
some basically we go either you're a scientist who's funny or you're funny about science is a
right.
general rule.
Okay,
And so we have some who like very work very hard to make like, theoretical physics funny.
okay,
And and sort of really go from a science funny angle. I'm much more of a DNA replication isn't funny. Just for clarity's sake, this was not a good choice for material um for a comedian, but the people who are in science are hilarious.
right.
And so I bring a world of science rather
Right.
than the
Right.
science itself. Others we have some musicians. We've had an arts student
Mm.
who just did songs that he wrote about what he understood about bits of science.
There you go.
So we have a bit of everything.
Right. It's a big tent. It's a big tent, and you're basically this is so this is a happening every few months. This sort of event, and is it a ticketed show? Is it just a room above a
Ticketed,
pub?
yeah, ticketed. So I'll give you a link. So
Fantastic.
we should have tickets up for sale for the 2nd of April
Mm,
in the not
mm.
too distant future.
Great.
And then so we have the Cambridge Fringe Festival, which we are still taking applications, but ordinarily we do perform with them if they let us.
Right. Okay. Right. And there's like a recurring cast of I guess it sounds like there's new people come along, but there's sort of like maybe a group of variables who are there
Yeah.
with some variety.
So we have like 3 or 4, okay, maybe 4 or 5 of us who kind of run it and organize the shows and tend to come and do a show regularly.
Right.
Others who come semi-regularly.
Sure.
Others are random people that we find on the street and
Right.
invite them in on the scientific street. But
Fantastic.
no,
Yeah.
they're all very lovely as well. As a comedian who has a background in science, you're more than welcome to come and do a set.
Oh, lovely.
It is what generally a really lovely gig. Everyone who turns up as an audience member tend to be very sweet and polite and
Yeah.
really get into it because we're all a little bit nerdy,
Yeah.
and it's really an evening to channel your inner nerd.
I have gigged in Cambridge, and I've noticed a tendency that way. It's
Yeah.
I do seem to have gone down reasonably well in Cambridge with some of my stuff. Yeah, although that's great, and so it tends to, it's like a standard format for a comedy show where you've basically got each person doing. When you mentioned the variables, I thought it might be more like a sketch group, and you had 4 or 5 people sort of doing right. Here is how the tongue works, and like all dressed up in different things. But is it more like it's sort of straight stand up with one person at a microphone taking turns and going around?
As our standard ones, like the regular shows do tend to be that. We have at the point because the people who founded it, I kind of inculcated my way into organizing stuff. But the guys who
Mm,
founded it, they called it the Variables Presents, and
yes,
then it means that you can have anything.
yes, yes,
So we're not averse to doing panel shows or sketch shows or things like that. We just haven't got anyone who has enough time because
sure,
all of these people have jobs
yes.
and
Indeed,
actually doing real work.
because
So
famously comedy, not so much money.
no, there's not that much money in there.
No, no, no.
But I do feel like the job security is better than science at the minute. So
Well, gosh, right. Yeah, tricky. And I was wondering, like, there's the science communication. I wondered if there was a government grant for helping, communicate science to the community that, might be flowing through the variables. But it sounds like this is more just people who are scientists sort of taking the initiative to say we want to kind of connect with the common folk.
well, I mean, and also the other point is like it's funny and we enjoy it and it is generally quite amusing. But
Yeah.
also scientists, we're vaguely normal. And it's nice to let the real world see that we're as stupid as everyone else,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
Like,
Yes.
yeah, we just some might say there's less common sense in a group of scientists than the
Mm,
general population.
mm,
Depends on who you talk to.
yes.
No, I mean, there is money. I think they previously managed to con people into giving them some money into training me. So like, they
Right.
pay for the trainers
Okay.
to come and do an afternoon under the umbrella of this is public engagement. And in all
Right.
truth, it is public engagement.
Indeed so.
But less so. We haven't had that much in at the minute. We're kind of we keep ourselves running off ticket sales from shows.
Right. Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, it sounds excellent, and I want to support it in every way that I can. Lovely, and we'll get all the notes, with the links and things, and I will be there in April. I hope. So, but so, and that's sort of the background. There is that now when sort of things going on in comedy for you at the moment. Is that the main thing? Is that your main focus? Is there other comedic activities going on that you're excited about?
I mean, as you well know, it's a matter of, oh, someone's advertising a gig. I better email them and see if they will take me for a gig. So
Right.
I'm in the usual throw of most comedians where you tout for trade as much as you can,
Right.
as
Right.
many shows as you want.
Yes, yes, right. And of course that connects back to what you were saying about your mother's first cousin and, this sort of being the actress and putting themselves out there. Or I mean it's yeah, I mean yeah, and I guess I went through a phase of like just trying to gig absolutely everywhere I possibly could throughout London, and moving around. I've sort of moved into a phase where I'm running more gigs than I'm attending, and that's a dastardly plan to just book myself as frequently as possible. Because if I'm running the gig, I mean, and actually I have discussions with some people who say like, well, they've seen people do that and then they become very insular, and you're not really getting the kind of like proper comedy workout that you would be getting if you were going to all these other different rooms. I'm not
Mm.
sure, but yeah, yeah, but I'm really interested in you saying that you've struggled with kind of putting yourself out there, and you've overcome. You're now feeling more confident to be able to say yes, please book me. I've got something that you would want to see and your
Yeah.
audience will want to see.
Yeah. I mean, okay, yeah, so I wouldn't necessarily say struggled, just didn't think of it.
Oh, okay, right,
Is that kind of like
sure,
you kind of go, "Oh, it's just so normal that you don't bother." And then you go,
okay,
actually, no, I need to go, hey, and you say, oh, I run a gig, and someone goes, oh, great. I do shows. Here's my information. It's
yes,
that kind of
yes.
being a bit more opportunistic.
Yeah, right, right. No, no, fair enough. Good show, good show. Yes, and that sounds good. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I mean, what I notice, particularly now running gigs, is I encounter an entire range of different behaviors on the part of the people who want to get on the gigs, and so some people are just like very, very forward. And they're saying, look, and I've only done 6 gigs, but I really should have 10 minutes and be your headliner. And to the people who are just like, yeah, and it's but I think and I think usually somewhere in the middle is preferable. The yeah, coming back to the, I think for me, it's like I think for me at the moment, if I was really pushing and forcing myself, I might be trying to do like an Edinburgh hour or whatever before I was ready, or this, that, and the other. And the way I've sort of slipped into this doing the Leicester Comedy Festival thing is that, through the virtual reality comedy, a particular venue in virtual reality who I didn't really know about had approached me and said, "Oh, would you like to do the thing that you're doing over here, but do it with us and do it a bit longer as a sort of a special?" And I said, "Oh, okay." And then I've now done like 3 specials for them, and then sort of I now, as a result of having done those specials, I'm doing another one actually on Monday. As a result of that, I now have kind of a thing and a kind of like, it's called the Extended Comedy Booby Trap. And then why did I even go for the Leicester Comedy Festival? Oh, that's right. But my kids are away, and I was like, oh, what am I going to do in February next year? Oh, I could do a show, and so it's sort of come together organically, kind of out of bits and pieces that were happening, rather than me kind of going, right, by February 2025 I will have done a hour show kind of thing. And I'm feeling positive about that sort of flow, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because isn't it? You reach a point where you circulate through the circuit, because we're professionals now.
Yeah.
And you know enough people that your name's known by other people that you haven't met yet, and so
Yes,
then people
yes.
start. It's like kind of like the velocity that you can.
There's a sort of a critical mass, and that's
Yeah.
because it's yes, and of course you're based in Cambridge, is that right? You're in
Yeah.
yeah, and so I mean when you said, see, for me based in London, I've gigged like very heavily in London, and partly for family constraints have not got so further afield, but I guess I'm correct me if I'm wrong. You maybe not being so London focused, you've maybe gigged through a wider area where there's
Yeah.
more of a circuit.
I
Would you
work
say?
on the rule of if no one's going to pay me any money, then I'll go up to an hour and a half away or
Right,
London.
right, right.
If someone will pay me some money, I'll go wherever they want,
Uh-huh.
depending on on what they're offering,
Right,
right?
right.
But yeah, so is that kind of a general thing. But I did in 2022, I did an 45 minutes to an hour at Buxton Fringe Festival,
Oh wow.
which
Cool.
I really recommend
Mm.
because it's lovely up there, and you go and practice. Basically, a lot of people go to practice for Edinburgh,
Right,
and
right.
it's like mid-July, and it's
Mm.
also cheaper than a lot of other places, and it's
Yes.
lovely, lovely in the north,
Right. Yes, yes.
and
Fantastic. Yes, I'm looking forward to getting myself out there more once my children have left home. Yes, yes, indeed. Good.
once they're gone, well, no, get them driving, and then they can take you.
Well, they have refused point blank to come and see my comedy, but that's
Oh,
we're working through that. I think they're just very shy, and I am the opposite of that. I'm the complete opposite of shy. But yeah, so fantastic. And so we'll sliding into the second question that we often ask.
Yeah.
Is technology affecting your life and comedy a lot? And there are many different ways to interpret that question. Feel free to dive in any sort of angle about
Oh,
how technology or indeed science is affecting, particularly your comedy, but also your life.
in a classic scientist way, I go, well, what do you mean by technology, right? It's like,
Sure,
how
please.
far do we go back? No, I think that particularly internet, and certain aspects of social media, I find
Mm.
very funny.
Oh, really?
So it gives a good source of material.
Okay.
You've got to give it that.
Right.
And you know, not great all the time,
Mm.
but it can be quite entertaining. So I think that in terms of that with comedy, yeah, it's really useful. And of course, the having videos to send to people and
Mm.
instant messaging, like the speed at which
Right.
spots go, it's useful to have that kind of immediate connection with it in terms of getting,
Yes. Yes.
you know, spots, gigs, shows.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What was that? I mean, I think that's as much as I go. Technology and I have a tentative relationship.
Okay.
So if neither of us ask too much of the other, we're fine.
Right.
This is why this is sort of my hesitation with it. Is like this is as far as I can go. Right.
Sure.
That
Sure.
being said, part of my PhD was bioinformatics related, so I
Right.
had to learn coding for
Okay.
it, but like very straightforward, simple, idiot-proof coding,
Sure.
and I found it's really interesting that you actually have a completely different mindset.
Uh-huh.
So I'm what we call a wet lab scientist.
Right.
I move chemicals from one tube to another, and
Sure.
sometimes I move them back, that sort of thing. And so I found that when I was doing stuff on the computer that had to be so sort of very logical, every step
Right.
explained, right?
Yes.
Really, really sort of straightforward. I
Yes.
couldn't flick between like that and then doing wet lab work. I either
Right.
had to do in the lab or on
Yes.
the computer. I couldn't do the
Right.
two together. And it's really interesting that mindset. You become very literal.
Interesting. It's like digital versus analog, kind of.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I can see why computer scientists have the reputation that they have. Because
Yes.
you do become incredibly, someone will make a joke and you go,
Yes.
yes, but that's actually not true.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Well, it's interesting. I mean,
This
this
is
is
precisely why it's not true. Here are my like 10 pinpoint reasonings.
indeed. Well, and it's interesting that you said that, it makes me think of an analogy, which also happens to be a bit of self-promotion, which just shows how American I am. But I have written a book,
Okay.
which is called "How to Interact with Humans After Spending a Lot of Time with Computers."
Yeah.
Which is largely informed by my initially the experience when I was doing my PhD and I was first spending 8 9 hours a day coding continually. In that, I would find myself in that mentality, then approaching humans in the same mentality, and it not working. And a lot of my life still revolves around a lot of computer coding. And when you are in that mode, these sort of analog interactions can become very challenging.
Yeah. No, it really is. You become a bit weird.
Indeed so, indeed so. Although I
And
go
it
on.
is that jump between two different things. It is very strange. You have to work yourself back in and back out of it.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm, mm.
Um,
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, going off on a different tangent. I remember at 16 embracing that I was weird, and I decided that was a cool thing, and it was good to be weird. But that's another story. But I'm intrigued by you're saying social media is a great source of material, and
yeah.
that's. Do you have an example of the kind
Um,
you mean there?
in particular, so I like watching themes of advertising,
Okay.
different
Yes.
different things. Um, one of my bits I enjoy. I've been working up. I like to keep different platforms separate from each other and give them different bits of information.
Okay.
So they have different bits of me. They just don't have all of my
Okay.
information. And some I
Right.
starve and they panic
Okay.
and just send me things because I'm a woman,
Okay. Right.
right?
Yeah.
So Facebook thinks that I'm I'm on, there you go. I'm on the verge of my own cake-induced demise.
Okay.
Yeah. And I watch cat videos and Google scientific equipment, which isn't
Okay.
that far from the truth.
Right.
Um, and then YouTube thinks that I have an insatiable thirst for child rearing.
Okay. Right.
So I get
Sure.
pregnancy tests,
Right.
adverts for pregnancy tests, baby food, and then incontinence pads.
Right.
and then it cycles through again. So I've gone through about seven of those different cycles. I don't know
Okay.
what they think happens to the children at the end. They've just disappeared off. But
Right.
so I enjoy doing that. That's quite fun. I also like applying what you do in reality to things that people do online.
Right.
So, that whole classic, oh, you never put a post-it note on someone's wall, that kind of thing. Although
Right.
I suppose you used to. But you're
Well,
following someone around the street.
yeah, well, it's interesting. It makes me think of Protestantism, and I think it was Martin Luther sticking. That was sort of a post-it note that he put up on the door of the church, wasn't it? It's right, yes, the parallels. I mean, yes, I think I know what you mean. I mean, there's a like wonderful. I've forgotten his name, the comedian now, but there's a wonderful thing about the capture things and about are you a robot? And it's like, what do you want me to identify in this picture if where there is a human? Isn't that a question a robot would ask? It's
Precisely.
stupid.
I
Yes.
love, did you hear that thing about AI? They were testing it to see it would get through it. And what it did, instead of trying to answer the questions, was it called up the thing where you can hire someone to do a task for you, like
Oh,
task
yeah,
rabbit or
yeah,
something
yeah.
like that.
The Mechanical Turk and or different Fiverr and
Yeah,
those.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Yes.
And it contacted them and said, I need you to
Yes.
do this, like prove I'm a human.
Yes.
And the person on the other end went, why would you need me to do this? This is very strange. And the AI told them they were visually impaired and they needed someone
Right.
else to do it.
Very,
So
very
so
clever.
they may not be able to overcome it, but they can manipulate us into helping them do it,
Well,
really.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, in fact, the AI is, of course, my special subject, and
Oh.
yes, yes, it's there's very all sorts of interesting stuff going on there. I think that there's well a whole other conversation that we could have, but I'm just really excited what you're saying there about social media as a kind of like you've got sort of a split personality, and is that something that you've inculcated by specifically choosing to click on different things on different platforms?
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I then like just mix it up and click on something really random. One of my best friends is insane about books, and I
Okay,
keep seeing these little things every now and then. Something that amuses me. I was like, oh, she'll find that funny, and then I send
yeah,
it to her, and then that's all I get for the next 3 weeks is
okay,
increase. And but the problem is, I feed it because I go, actually, she'd find that really funny too. So I'm kind of creating her personality on on one of my social media accounts.
right.
Not intentionally,
No, no,
but
no.
it's fun to. If they're going to give me an echo chamber, I may as well mess with it.
Right, right. Well, well,
Uh,
indeed so, and then there's material out there because for many people these days that social media is a large part of their experience, adverts and all these sorts of things,
mm,
and indeed a lot of what comedy is about, kind of like connecting people with an experience that we are all having, but we're not really talking about. So
yeah,
yeah, that's really
yeah.
interesting. I mean, for myself, I kind of studiously avoid all advertising and almost all social media to the extent
I
that I
mean,
can as a comic. So
I try to, but
yeah.
like, a lot of gigs are advertised
Oh no,
on
absolutely.
them, so you kind of have to check them as part. It's like checking your emails, but then you get distracted by a cat video and then a video of like,
Oh
is this real or is it cake? That kind of thing.
yes,
As an
no, no.
insight into my life. I've had a series of adverts for sheds at the minute, so
Okay.
I think it thinks that I'm preparing to sort of like buy a property in the area.
I mean, this is the swirling AI storms that are, I mean, eventually it does seem to me that, I mean, the humans race's days are numbered in as much as being the most clever entity. It seems to me inevitable that we're going to be well. Or the analogy I often make, when you might like this, is about the process whereby the first cells were able to replicate.
Mm,
Is that I don't know if you heard this. This is maybe dating me, but a long time ago. At the bottom of the ocean, there have been sedimenting clays for many,
mm,
many, many millions, billions of years, and that perhaps some of the early cells that could reproduce themselves, they started out in the kind of like the surface area of those clays is very, very large. All things it's got like sort of operating as a kind of an enzyme to speed up reactions, and that those sedimenting clays were kind of like a sort of a jumping off point for biological life that first was able to replicate. And now, obviously, life's gone all around the planet, but the clays are still there sedimenting down at the bottom of the ocean, and we might dredge them, but we just it's kind of completely irrelevant to us. And it seems to me that possibly we are at the moment as a biological substrate for a higher form of intelligence that's likely to go off and colonize the universe and not really care one way or the other whether we are here or not. Would
yeah,
you?
well. Well, yeah, there's always the option that, we create our own demise and then something else takes over, or we create the thing that causes our own demise. Is
Yeah.
the whole genetics and there's the whole like genetic modification and stuff. There's this
Yes.
one guy.
Mm.
It was a thing I saw years ago. It was like a news report, so it
Yes.
wasn't Facebook. Just to be clear, I don't spend most of my time on social media. It does make my
Fair enough.
brain
Fair enough.
bubble. Um, but this one guy in the States is like, I want to genetically engineer the ultimate predator
Okay.
for humanity. And you're like,
Right.
why?
Yeah. And
Why would you do that?
is that how Trump got created?
Well, there you go. Well, I just oh yeah, this is what I'm
Yes.
talking about. I love my people. But sometimes they have absolutely no common sense about what they're doing.
No,
I wonder what would happen if we created the ultimate disease that would kill out humanity. Let's
indeed.
put a grant application in. Right? It's
In-
that kind of thing.
Sure, sure. Goodness me. Well, it takes all sorts, doesn't it? It's
It does, yeah.
yes, yes. So that's it. So the technology, social media as a uh yeah, as a source of material. I mean, you mentioned sending videos. I've been doing the things these days that all comics are doing, which is sending videos,
Mhm.
being on Instant Messenger or one kind or another, as I say, checking the. I mean, gosh, social media is so addictive. I mean, I do these strange New Year's resolutions. Like last year, it was like posting 3 one-liners to TikTok every day, and I did get sucked into a bit of a TikTok vortex. I was surprised to find, and it is, oh my goodness,
It is so easy to
yeah,
slip into it, isn't it?
it's
But it's these things, it's really interesting. Because the other thing that I do, I still teach undergraduates,
oh yeah,
right? Which is
mm.
fun because last week I literally got paid to make them cry
Okay.
and then collected their tears in a really sadistic way of doing it.
Oh
It's
my
brilliant.
goodness. Well, that sounds
This
like
is what
that's
they pay a
go
lot of
on.
money for as well.
Wow. Well, that the
Um,
jokes are writing themselves there. Goodness me, that's it.
what I really want is a compilation video of just students with like tears that are being collected by us. Um, but it's really interesting because obviously every year I'm exposed to a new group of 18-year-olds.
Right.
And so
Mm.
it's really interesting how the shift in like ability with technology changes across
Okay.
time. And
Yes.
really depressingly, this will be my ninth year of teaching them, right? And so so it does kind of I always assume that they get substantially better at technology, like it would become an innate thing, like
Uh,
computers would be innate because they grew up with it.
yes.
But it's really interesting. They're starting to come down. So I think the ones alive now are about as competent as I am. It's just from the other side because they've got the pretty shiny interface.
Okay.
And if it broke down, then a lot of them are stuck.
Right. And that's is that because the interfaces have got so sort of good that in the most cases they haven't had to try and actually ever fix it, and they're
Yeah.
now sort of a bit right. Okay.
I assume
Interesting.
so. And this is like a general trend that I've been seeing. There are, of course,
Mm.
some who are very good, which I was told about at length on Wednesday, very good at doing it. But most of them haven't used a USB stick.
Right. Right. Yes. The types of things. The types of
That
things.
upset
Yeah.
me a great deal. So
Mm.
that when I realized they were born after 2000.
Right, right. Yes, tricky, isn't it? Tricky.
Oh,
I mean, I'm really interested to hear more about the tier collection thing. I mean, is this that sounds like a Cruella de Vil sort of
it really
activity, but
It's fantastic. I've honed it to a fine art. I'm putting this on my CV, right?
right,
Like a
right.
professionally like
Tier
cry
inducer.
maker.
Yeah.
So I can make you cry physically. I like to apply a mental element to them, so I just apply a certain level of, oh, you've got too much work to do, as they go. But the key is, surprisingly,
Uh,
inhale freshly grated horseradish
okay. Uh,
beyond the pain barrier, and tears are almost guaranteed.
Right, right. And is this just a sort of a hazing ritual to make sure that they've got you like the cut of their jib, or is this you by collecting the tears? There's some sort of experiment that's being done
There,
about the
there is no,
spread of
there is an
microplastics or something. It's
there is an experiment. They're testing for lysozyme activities in their tears,
okay.
the
Right,
enzymes that break down bacterial cell walls.
right,
So
right,
they're testing to see if they've got any, which
right.
they all do.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
how active they are and how much they've got of it and all that
Yeah.
measuring stuff that the scientists like to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good show. Good show. Yeah, very cool. But sort of going slightly deeper on the technology side, I mean, there's the sending videos and the connecting with people. Are you? carefully watching back the videos of your own sets? Are you, when you're in the process of like constructing your comedy, does technology play a part, or it's like you're there with a quill pen and a stone tablet? Or
Um, hmm. It's uncomfortable. This is the thing that I learned, and I'm sure you went through it too. When you
yeah.
first start seeing recordings of yourself, you realize that you don't like the way you look and you don't like the way you sound.
Mm,
There is an uncomfortable experience that eases off, right? So now you kind of get used to it. It's sometimes yes, like if there's certain things that I go, oh, I can't quite remember how that particular joke played out in that particular room.
right.
I'll see how it goes. But I mean, obviously, you have to watch the videos of yourself before you then send it to someone else.
Sure.
Otherwise, you'd be a fool. So to a certain extent, it does. I work on a rule of if I have a new joke, I do it or like a new story, I do it to three rooms and see what
Mm,
the response is. Because like you have very
sure.
different spaces, and if you have the same response to the same joke
Hmm.
in three different places, then you go,
Yeah.
okay, there's probably something not working. So I tend to go off that for certain jokes that I'm looking to see if I need to refine it better.
Yes.
Uh, Sometimes when you watch one back, you go, "Oh, I hadn't realized how well that one played, like that
Indeed.
joke, that bit played out."
Yeah.
So it's quite nice. So moderately, yes,
Yes.
not necessarily actively doing it, but as
Yeah.
part of the process of editing and adding subtitles and things like that.
Yes. 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 And then, and you were saying there, sort of like if it does, reasonably well in three different environments, that means you've got something good on your hands. Is that was what you were
Yeah.
saying? Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
at least it's something that you know how it's playing because it's like sometimes you have jokes that you go, "This is really funny,"
Oh yeah.
and haha, and then some you go, "This is like what I would describe as a gentle titter joke. This
Right.
is
Right.
something like I'd feel." So you have a rough idea of what it's doing.
Yes.
I mean, I
Yes.
hope I'm not just you're looking at me and you're going, "What are you talking
Oh
about?"
no, 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 not at all. No, no. I mean, I think what you're saying there with the three that all makes perfect sense. But as previous listeners to the podcast will know, I'm not in the camp of the person who finds it difficult to listen to myself or think I look strange. I have the exact opposite problem in that.
Yeah.
I mean, do I love the sound of my own voice? It often seems like that. I mean, I think often the way I describe it is that I'm a bit like a chimpanzee that's seeing a reflection of itself, and I'm just fascinated. I mean, I've ever since I think it was 14 when I first heard a recording of my voice on a cassette tape, and I was like, "Oh, do I sound like that?" I was just like I think a lot of people. So, for example, last week we were speaking to Rodney Ramsey, and he's been doing comedy like 20 years or so, or whatever, and he was saying that that he has learned over 20 years to get himself to the point where he can actually watch himself back. The trouble that he described is that the way he sounds and looks, when he's doing comedy, is different from how it sounds in his head
Yeah.
and how he imagines he looks, and that disconnect is sort of painful. And whereas for me personally, like for my entire life, I'm just I can get stuck watching videos of myself because not because I think I'm amazing or I think I'm beautiful. I mean, at some level, I do love myself, but I'm. It's more. I'm just. It's fascinating. I'm like, who is that? Who is that person? That reminds me of me. It's,
Right. Okay.
but I think I am
Yeah.
in the. I very much in the minority in
Yeah,
that
I think
regard.
so. Of course, we all sound different inside our heads,
Right.
outside our
Right.
head, right?
Yes.
And it's that thing, isn't it? It's if you don't like the way you look in pictures, you need to look at more pictures of yourself.
Maybe. Yeah. I guess. To,
That's a thing. Like psychologically, that's what you have to do, because
in order to
the
get. In order
way
to. Oh, go on.
you're always seeing a reflection of yourself. So
Right.
you're always a mirror image, and then when
Right.
you see a picture, you're the way you look to everyone else, and that is it confuses your brain because that's not how you look in your head.
Right. 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 I guess unless you've got a perfectly symmetrical face.
Yes, which most people don't.
No, indeed. Although I think Kylie Minogue famously has a very symmetrical face.
Well,
I mean,
then she probably has no problem seeing herself in pictures.
indeed, and I know that I did, but it's interesting because I learned that about Kylie Minogue on I think a science education program some years back where they were talking about different what's the word, like why do some people are perceived as more beautiful or handsome across a broader range, and there was things showing that like dilated pupils, symmetrical faces, this and the other. Now I know that my face is not perfectly symmetrical, but it's interesting what you again. It's like I don't know what it is. It's some strange thing about me that yeah, there doesn't seem to me to be that disconnect, or at least I don't find that disconnect. Maybe there is a disconnect, but just I'm fascinated by it rather than repelled by it. I guess is
Yeah.
just is maybe I need to
No.
react to it differently. I don't know what that's about. But for me, having the video of a set that I do, I just love watching myself back afterwards. I mean, it's sometimes, more fun than the actual gig. And but often, as I said, like with the gig, you may feel one way. Often, particularly recently, actually, I often feel like, "Oh, I don't know if that went very well," and I feel a bit at the end of the gig. I feel a bit kind of down. I'm like, how did that really go? And then I watch it back, and I'm like, actually, oh, it wasn't that bad. And so
Yeah.
I find
Yeah.
if the recording has failed, then I'm like stuck in this kind of I don't know how it went kind of thing.
No, I do. It's interesting. I think you do that, don't you? You go at the time when you're on your adrenaline high, you're like, this is
Mm.
great. I had such a great time. I'm going to keep talking to everyone. Isn't this fun?
Yes.
And then afterwards, when you come down, you kind of maybe it wasn't that great. So you're right. Having the recording does just help you go, oh yeah, no, it was actually like this, and
Yes.
it wasn't as good or as bad as my extremes think that it was. This is making me sound like really, really like self-conscious
Uh,
and like
uh,
overthinking. I'm
but
cool. I'm cool with it.
oh
It's just that kind of gentle niggle in your brain where you
yeah,
go,
I
oh
think
yeah, maybe
I
it
think
wasn't.
I think everybody has that to different degrees. I mean, and then in some way, I think one of the reasons that many people feel that they could never do stand-up comedy is because of those sort of the anxieties around it. And I think great respect to anybody who's doing stand-up comedy because I think there's an extent to which everybody who's getting up and on a stage and putting themselves in that situation, they've mastered some level of those
Well,
concerns, haven't they?
some people, what do they do this to you? They go, oh, you're so brave.
Right.
And you're like, oh, what? I never thought I was. Oh, it's so brave. What? I don't know how you do it. And in all truth, firstly, I'm the quiet one in my family.
Mm. Hmm.
And that might seem a surprise, but I say it to my friends and they don't believe me, and then they meet my family and they go, actually, yeah, you really are. So
Mm-mm.
it is just nice to be able to finish a sentence. Like
Right.
that is an element of it. But I don't know, I like being on stage. I don't know if that then
Yeah.
makes me sound really narcissistic. But I like being on stage. It's comfortable. And
Yes.
I don't know how that became a thing or why, but I enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, which is
Otherwise, you wouldn't do
great.
it.
No,
No.
indeed. But was that when you did your first gig? Did you feel instantly comfortable, or it was like you've become comfortable over time? Or
Well, I think you don't you? You go for like the afternoon before you do it. You go, why have I done this to myself? What is wrong
right.
with me?
Uh-huh.
What is this is awful. What's happening? And just before you walk on stage, this is my first gig. I remember this going, what? Why?
Uh,
What are you doing?
yes.
And
Yes.
then you get on stage, you go, actually, no, this is really fun and I really
Yes.
enjoy it. So
Mm.
oh yeah, no, but I enjoy it is
Yeah.
basically the
Which is
gist. And yeah.
yeah. Well, you're in a safe space here because everybody here we all enjoy it, and I think the people listen a lot of comedians as well also very much enjoying it. So yeah, it's and I think it's I mean like Jimmy Carr says. I mean I think it should really be taught in schools. It's kind of like I think yeah, I mean, a bit like back in the day, Dungeons and Dragons. Everyone was like, "Oh no, it's like it's the devil's work." Actually, it promotes communication, storytelling, numeracy, literacy, all of these things. Similarly, stand-up comedy. I think there's all sorts of great lessons to
Oh
learn
yeah.
from it.
It's so fun to look at the world in a slightly different way,
Oh god, yeah. Oh
which
god, yeah.
is keeps it interesting, doesn't it?
It certainly does. I mean, I'm I don't know, am I hammering on the technology thing? I guess I'm just wanted to sort of push a little bit further there on the when you're coming up with material, and you've already mentioned that social media is a source of material. But in terms of are you writing down all your jokes in a big notebook? Are you keeping
Mm.
them in sort of a spreadsheet, or is there any extent to which technology is somehow helping you create and maintain your material?
Oh dear. So I'm gonna I go old school. In all truth, a lot of my material comes and is refined by chatting nonsense with my friends in the pub.
Oh,
Right?
good.
Like this is
Sounds
we
good.
just
Sounds
chat and
good
you
to
go,
me.
actually
Yeah.
that's really funny and I'm gonna work that through.
Mm, mm, mm,
Um
mm.
then I would tend to write some things so I don't forget them down in like a paper notebook.
Sure,
But I do work it up. There are some jokes where it doesn't necessarily matter what specific words you use.
sure.
And then there are some where there's a very like a certain word is the word that you
Mm,
kind of need to
sure,
have.
sure,
And those and when you come to editing things, you go, oh, well, I have this really funny idea and I chatted it through, but I need to find that right word that really just makes it
mm,
very
mm,
work.
sure,
And I mean, I write down my set,
yes,
um, mostly just so I kind of have a rough plan of where I'm going and what I'm saying,
sure,
and sort of just as part of the editing process in my head to just work
yeah,
it. So yeah, so I, get my little word out and
yeah,
write
yeah, yeah,
stuff down.
yeah, 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 yeah,
But I
yeah.
don't go, I haven't got spreadsheets. I store a lot of my sets on technology anyway, so
Right, right.
I do
Yeah, I
need
mean,
to organize them in all truth. I've just been putting it off.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I asked partly as I imagine, some listeners such as I mean, are interested if, as a scientist, whether it's involves technology or not, if there is, a more scientific approach to comedy, or I mean, like if it's me and I do a lot of, technology and coding and AI stuff during the day, although I'm often trying to find, I mean, I start to have my things in like a Notion spreadsheet and this, that, and the other, is there's an extent to which I'm doing the comedy because it's less structured than my
Hmm.
more scientific technology day job, and I kind of want it to be a bit more raw and wild in a way that my day job can't be. But I don't know if that's
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose, well, I don't know. I don't like, okay, so yes, it's freer in that, like, I don't have a spreadsheet with a bullet pointed list of everything I need to include, like it's, oh,
right.
this is my day. So it's nice that you just can talk
Yes,
and just sort of like go with what you're saying and have more
yes.
sort of spontaneity and things. Um, I don't know. I don't really think that. I don't know. I don't know. I've never really thought of having a defining line between comedy and science simply because the science is where I get my comedy now.
Yeah. I mean, and then there's, and I only ask, there's no should or like any, it's. I mean, I sort of sometimes think to myself like, should I be applying the scientific method? Like, should I have a decibel meter checking the precise level of
Oh,
the laugh that I got for
measuring.
every joke, and then over the course of multiple years, I have a data-driven approach to comedy where I can say definitively this is my best joke based upon
Because
this.
the best jokes are always technically accurate.
You find.
No. My deadpan face, which is I suppose I do the rule of three. So
Yes.
like biologists, so anything in biology is it's this answer, give or take,
Right.
because we have biological variability. It drives the physical scientists insane.
Right. Right.
So for you, I suppose that's why I go for the, oh, I do a joke in three gigs and see how it plays in all three,
Yes.
because
Yes.
the
Yes.
average of all three is probably where it sits
Yeah.
in
Yeah. Yeah.
how
Yeah.
funny it is.
And as a rule of thumb, I no, I think many comedians like and will work that out and do that and so on. Yeah. Yeah. They're No, and that's absolutely fine. Yeah, I was interested there. What you saying about how some the process, the creative process, might well start with chatting with people in the pub, which leads on to of course our second topic for the podcast, which is of course people and relationships. And so yeah, tell me more about the people and relationships that inform your comedic process or indeed your life. I mean,
Just in general.
yeah.
Um, so I mean, there's so many of them. I mean, I think my friends are very funny
Oh yeah.
generally, and they're all a bit odd in like nice ways,
Right.
which is always nice, and they're always great, either sources of material,
Right.
whether they want to be or not.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, they come up with random stuff, and then you go on a random tangent, and by the end of the conversation, you've worked out actually this is really hilarious, and people will find this very funny.
Right.
Um, I think. Oh, so in all truth, because you sent me the question, like who's the biggest, was the most influential
Yeah.
relationship in comedy? I'm gonna go really like wholesome and be like my mum and my stepdad.
Sure. Sure.
Because in all truth, they create the environment in which you live,
Right.
but my and grow up. But my stepdad is very odd man
Oh,
in
okay.
in a very entertaining way,
Right.
and always looks at the world with a slight askew,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
but a very amusing one. So I don't know if it was by design or by accident, but I do similar.
Right.
And my family in general are just ones who like to tell stories. And
Mm.
so
Mm.
that kind of that need, desperate desire to tell stories,
Uh-huh.
I think a big influence on what I say and how I say it, because I t
Sure.
lean towards the observational storytelling end of the comedy spectrum rather
Mm-hmm.
than like the one-liners and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and and they're all very entertaining characters as they
Mm.
go. Eccentric
Right.
is the
Right.
best way to go with them. Yeah.
Ah. Fantastic, fantastic. And I'm intrigued to ask, are they also, the friends and the family, are they also science-minded people in the science domain,
Oh,
or they're just sort of it's a mixed bag, but they're just the thread that connects them all together is that they are, you know, left field, eccentric, sort of see the world in a
entertaining.
different way. Yeah.
I mean, some of them are normal.
Who
No, I've got,
wants to
I've
be
got,
normal? Go on.
I've got a bunch. So my mother's a physical chemist.
Right.
Yeah, so what she does smells and doesn't work.
Okay.
Right. My stepdad was a military medic,
Right.
so that's always fun. Medics tend to be quite entertaining
Yeah.
generally.
Yes.
And then I've got a whole bunch of different things from different sciences. So there's probably a leaning towards the biological sciences simply because that's, what
Right.
I've been doing. But I've got an accountant in there,
Yeah. Right.
a couple of art students.
Yeah.
One art student, she studied two warring villages in Italy in the 11th century who kept stealing each other's relic.
Okay. There you
So
go.
they
That's
like one would get in a boat and steal it and then
yeah.
take it back, and then the other one
Yeah.
would come back the following like 2 months later and
Yeah.
steal
Well, you
take
got to
it.
keep yourself occupied somehow. It's like
Yeah,
11th century, not much going on. They didn't have TikTok. What are they going to
yeah, go and
do?
steal a relic,
Yeah.
obviously.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But and I think comedian wise, this is the other thing. So comedians, I think, do have a big impact on like the ones that you grow up with
Right.
and see on the television and things like that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I don't remember when I was first allowed to watch Billy Connolly,
Right.
which may say a lot about my mother's parenting technique.
Uh,
But I don't, yeah, well, she always used to go with you can swear as long as it's grammatically correct,
okay. Right. Interesting.
which I appreciated. At least there was an
Yes.
internal consistency within it.
Yes.
So that kind of that storytelling and the world of the ridiculous, I think, does you pick up what you watch when you're young,
Yes.
I
Yes.
think, and that has an impact.
I certainly believe it does. Although recently I sort of my I sort of create all sorts of weird sort of justifications for different things in my head, but then I also realize maybe they're not as science founded as I'd like to think they were. I mean, I well, and what for example, one is I tend to tie a lot of like what I think human psychology back to the sort of an Iron Age village hypothesis, which is the idea that evolutionarily we have got to this stage where we're sort of equipped with the kind of mental structures that would perhaps work well in an Iron Age village, but are not so useful now. So, for example, with social media, like one of the I think the sort of negative effects it can have on your mental health is that you're what seeing like this like because people tend to post predominantly their positive things that happens to them, you can be seeing this like, oh, this person got this thing and this person got that thing, particularly if you're in a big group of comedians, like, oh, this person's got this Edinburgh show, so you see this sort of like stream of like wonderful things happening to other people, and you kind of I think that the natural reaction to that for most people is they end up becoming a little bit depressed. And I
Mm.
think if you think about it in the context of an Iron Age village, that would be an appropriate reaction. If you basically, you and the 100 other folks there, if each of them was getting, yes, I've caught a lamb, and oh yes, and they were all receiving these rewards, and you weren't. That
Yeah.
would kind of the depression reaction is a bit, well, I'm being left out. You'd be sending a signal to them that you're not very happy with this. But where you're stuck on social media, you're there isolated, with your phone or your device or what have you, sending out these signals that I don't know. Anyway, but so it's perhaps a pseudoscientific explanation, shall we say?
No, I get that. I mean, I do. You often think where evolutionarily, where does it come from? So
Right.
I tend to go a bit further back. I go back to like the savannah. How would this be
Sure.
useful?
Right. Yes.
And it's still true. I mean, okay, this evolution in a nutshell. You have to be different enough to be sexy, but not so different that you die.
Right.
So basically, if what you've
Like,
got
go on.
hasn't killed you,
Yes.
and it has given the opportunity to shag anyone that you fancy,
Right.
then
Like Blue Eyes, for example.
yeah, then it'll keep going.
Right.
And so I do, I mean, I apply it in a similar way, right? You go, okay, well, that behavior has come from something evolutionarily
Yes.
speaking. How would this have stopped me from dying?
Right. Right.
Right. And
Indeed.
I think that is easily applicable now because, of course, evolution takes like thousands of years,
Yes.
and in a relatively short period of time, we've gone from living in grass fields
Yes.
and like hunter gathering to sat in our own little rooms staring at the internet.
Yes. Yes.
It's
Which
why this was cool.
go on.
So the reason why storytelling, this
Mm.
might help. Our brains are better wired to take in stories at kind of like nighttime dusk, sat around a campfire.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
I don't know about you, but I find that I find it easier to write from kind of like early evening onwards.
Right. Interesting. Yes, I certainly find I do my comedy related stuff. Um, like, yeah, it's definitely an later evening activity. I feel like, yeah, the comedy gigs I prefer. Ideally it's dark, it's
Yeah.
late. Yeah, yeah, very much so.
You got
Although,
a couple of lights and you go
yeah,
in there. So that makes sense, right? We gather in the evening to
yes,
eat and chat, and you have stories about how you don't
yes,
like tackle a saber-toothed tiger because that's a
indeed,
bad idea.
yes.
And we come up with stories to do it because they're easy to remember.
Yes, yes, indeed. No, no, that makes perfect sense. And I mean, I do find myself, ever since I was affected with the comedy virus, I mean, I'm taking like little comedy notes, every other hour throughout the day. But for me, I tend to be, I mean, really what I pursue at the moment is I'm sort of writing on stage. I'm sort of throwing myself out. Particularly
Mm.
in virtual reality, like almost every night of the week, and doing like half an hour just like talking, blah, 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 and
Oh.
then recording it, listening back to it, and like picking little bits out of it, and so on. But it sounds like maybe do you spend some more time actually kind of constructing and writing out the stories and thinking about them, in your mind and saying them to yourself, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think about them more in my mind and then I write them down.
Mm,
But
mm,
the
mm.
thing is, I think you hear as you go around, there are people who sort of say, "Oh, you should always have your like comedy script written down and you
Mhm.
should perform it identically every time."
Some people say that they do, yeah.
And yeah, and so and if that's how it rolls for them, then that's great and knock themselves out. But for me, I kind of feel like it's this sort of ever evolving thing. So like the story's never done. It's never really
Yeah,
finished.
no,
There's something that
no.
you kind of go, oh, well, I'm approaching the point at which I don't think I can make this any funnier. Either the
Mm,
limit of the joke or the limit of just comedy.
yeah.
More often the limit of
Or,
the
or,
joke.
or the limit of your own patience hearing that same story again.
Yes, because that's the other thing as well. You go, oh, that's funny, and by the time you perform it, you've heard it like so many times.
Well,
You go,
right.
I don't understand why this is funny anymore.
No, no.
Um, but they evolve, and
Yes.
sometimes random stuff that you do on stage as part of it then
Yeah.
goes, okay, that's really funny. So to me, it's never really finished, and kind of writing it down is like the stopgap that means that I know that like this is a point from which
Mm,
I know it will evolve, but this is the point that I've got it to now.
yeah.
And it's that kind of thing. So I don't stick to it as kind of rigidly as that necessarily.
No, no, absolutely. Well, and
But I
yeah, go
talk
on.
to myself in my head, and that's like,
Yeah.
and that's how you get the jokes. So
All the cleverest people do.
that's
Yeah,
people
yeah.
talk to themselves. The only way you get a sensible answer to this.
I would say to have an intelligent conversation, and that's why I started the podcast. It's yeah, yeah, no, yes. I mean, I do find it quite strangely how some people there is a perception of like this is the way to do it, and you need to do it this way. When I think comedy partly is all about finding new ways to do things.
Oh
Although,
yeah.
yeah, I mean,
And it's that balance, isn't it? Right? There are tools of the trade. There
yeah,
are ways to structure stuff, and there are ways to construct things, and ways to sort of like a show. You order a show in particular orders of different comedians, right? But it's also trying to then, when you're writing, to then not lose your individuality in it.
What
So
do you
it's like the
what do you mean
unique
by
thing
that?
that makes you funny
Right.
is something you don't want to lose
Mm.
whilst balancing it with I understand that the mechanics of making a joke is like this.
Right, right. It's the form. Yes,
Yeah,
you've
so
learned the form.
it's
Yeah.
it's that thing, and that's I think it's hard to keep that balance as you go, but
Mm, mm. Yeah.
I agree. The point is the difference is what makes it interesting and what makes comedy funny.
You mean the difference, the different way
If
that
if
different
you
people
and
do
I
it?
were producing exactly the same stuff,
Yeah, it would be
it
less.
would be less funny very quickly.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Everybody's, yeah, I certainly, in some ways, the funniest stuff comes perhaps from when have got to a point where you are completely relaxed on stage and completely able to expose your truth, and that's you get sort of in a flow state, and yeah, I think the thing is, yes, it may take many years to get to that point, and to go back to
Yeah.
the earlier thing about not sort of pushing yourself too hard, like yeah, it makes sense, as one does with comedy courses or with initial things, to kind of like try and master some of the basics first and
Yeah.
get comfortable, and then yeah, I think all bets are off, really. It's
I mean,
it's
because the idea of going out onto a stage and just having nothing prepared terrifies me.
right.
I would not be able to do that. Not now. I mean,
No.
maybe in like however many years' time I might, but now that
Yes.
is terrifying, right?
Right.
So I always have to have something prepared and I know
Yes.
what I'm going to say. There's the other thing as well, like when you have time slots.
Yes.
If you want to get your story out and you want to structure it in the
Yes.
whole
Yes.
set in a way, you kind of have to know what you're saying because otherwise you then
Yes.
run out of time and people rugby tackle you.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that is a practicality point. But I right now, as it stands, I need to have I need to know where I'm going and I need
Yeah.
to know what stories I'm telling.
Indeed.
And and it's interesting that you have to practice the words, saying the words, because even if you do it in your head, it's a different set of
Yeah. It's
wiring
not.
to
It's
that
not.
if you speak it.
Well, and I think there with to connect that back to the feeling totally relaxed on stage is that there are
Mm.
different ways that you can feel that relaxed on stage. One way is that you just really don't give a damn
Yeah.
about what happens, and another way is that you've got a structure. That it's like, I know what the structure is. It's going to take this amount of time. I'm going to do this thing. I don't have
Mm.
to worry about it, and they're both perfectly valid ways of achieving that. I mean, I used to have very structured sets that are all written out. I will
Mm.
do my comedy booby traps now. I will have five thoughts that are basically bullet points, and I don't know. I'm going to talk for 5 minutes on each one, and I don't know what I'm going to say. Apart from, there's a
Mm.
few ideas here, and a lot of it's going to be audience interaction, which is like based in the moment. Now,
Yeah.
of course, that would be very very variable in its quality. If I was doing like a 5 minute set in a thing where I was hoping to impress people, just kind of like randomly talking to audience members and like saying two things that I thought of that afternoon, it is
No, I
taking a
feel.
bit of a gamble. That
Yeah.
said, some of my most well structured, thought out stuff that's worked in many places has also not worked in other places. So it's
Yeah.
but yeah. It's but I think from all of the different podcasts I've listened, I think many comedians ultimately aspire to a kind of a bit like yourself, not necessarily there yet, but aspire to being in a state where you could be so effortlessly funny,
Yeah.
right, that you could just be in the moment, and it
Yeah.
would just be continual hysterics from the audience.
That's I mean that's the aim, right? Is
Right.
you're really funny all the time and
Yeah.
you don't really look like you're trying that hard.
And
I
you actually don't have to work at it at all. You're just it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
you
fantastic.
don't
Yeah.
prepare anything, just rock up and talk for a little
Yeah,
bit
I
and then
mean,
leave.
sounds great. And like Ross, I mean, there are some comedians like Ross Noble. Apparently, that's what he does. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think it is. I think it is possible. But
I
of
mean,
course,
I know some that I know of some, or at least rumored that they have everything. Their set is identical every time. Like their
yes,
show, if they do a show, it's identical every time, so they
like
have it
Eddie
written
is of.
down
Yeah, yeah.
identically. And then others where it's a bit more, I'm just
But
gonna
more
talk.
variable. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then there's a spectrum, and it's all good, and it's all
I
good.
think
Yes.
I think I like to sit somewhere in between. Right. So I know where I'm going, and
Yeah,
but
yeah,
then
yeah,
if
yeah.
something springs into your mind, then you say it.
Yes. Yeah.
Ideally, you say it without muddling your words and getting
Mm.
tongue-tied, but you say it.
Indeed. Or indeed, for me, I'm pretty much always muddled and tongue-tying my words, and then making fun of myself for doing so. And so
Yeah.
it's the key thing I think comes back to is being truthfully in the moment,
Yeah.
which is it's a very
That
Buddhist thing.
the one
But
is the recovery from forgetting what you're about to say. That's always a
yeah,
good one as well to learn
yes,
that. And then okay, so this I didn't realize. People write their set on their hand,
they do.
and so I didn't realize that for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
2 years into it, because I just automatically assumed in my head that that was like cheating. And it was
Okay.
like, but you can't. I mean, it's not like someone's going to make you retake a set. Like you
I'm
can't
sorry. We'll
fail a
see that again
gig.
now. Thank you. Yes.
There's a
Right.
different way you can fail a gig, but not yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and so I came into a set one day. Again, I think it was a variables gig. And I went, guys, did you know that you can write your set on your hand? And they
Yeah.
all looked at me and went, yeah,
Yeah.
of course, Helen, of
Yeah.
course we do. We do it all the time. But none of them thought to tell me it.
Right.
I, I went in to tell them all to give them the heads up that they
The
didn't
heads
have
up.
to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever.
Well,
But
people are
yeah, so there you
so
go. If you want
inconsiderate.
to be a comedian, write it on your hand.
Yeah, or do what
Cheat
I do
sheet.
now, which is basically you have the whole thing, written. I basically go on stage with a clipboard now, and
Yeah.
I mean, I used to memorize my sets and like have them and repeat them or whatever, and yeah, in the same way that I can't watch the same advert or even any advertising at all, like more than once. Like zero times is it for me. I've just no. I mean, it's freeing. I'm just like, yeah, look, it's all written down here. I'm doing it now, and I don't care what you think. I'm not,
Yeah.
because anyway, yeah, it's it.
Interesting. Okay. So because some people really like who run shows, some people really d don't care. Others really don't like it.
Right. If you're doing that,
If you have like a clipboard, um I mean I sometimes do it as like a prop. It's like, yeah, I've forgotten everything, so I've written it
yes,
down.
yes,
Uh and yeah, but it's interesting. It's interesting. All the different people who do different
yes,
stuff,
yes,
right? Are they cool with you having it as in effect of prop
yes.
or not?
I mean, I say I'm a government inspector, and I'm here to ensure that you get your 5 laughs a day, and then I
Yeah.
tick things off on the
Yeah.
checkbook on the what's it called?
I know a guy who's a one-liner.
Clipboard.
He set me onto that. He was like, "Oh, you should try using a clipboard if you can't remember anything." Because he does. He just has all of his jokes written down and uses it as like a note-taking exercise.
Yes.
And yeah, and he does it really well. It's this kind of like, "Oh, here's my one-liner, and here's extra comedy about my audience's reaction to it," which
Mm.
works really nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Good show. Good show. Yeah. So, well, I mean, that's also partly the value of me running my own gigs is,
Yeah.
I basically get to do what I want. Yes, it will be interesting to see how that goes down when I get further afield.
You're the
But
only one who cares about whether or not you have it.
indeed, indeed, and I care for myself to have it.
Yeah.
But so yeah, well, final topic, drugs, which of course, I mean, drugs has a kind of like an evil thing, but then drugs includes legal drugs,
Everything.
legal and illegal drugs. But so have do drugs affect your life, your creative process, your comedy, your
Okay.
perception of reality?
Again, I'm going to feel very boring. Um, no, I don't really do I mean, the
Yeah.
odd paracetamol for the headache.
Mm, mm, mm.
It sounds really dull, but I was like proper scientist. I was like, oh, I'll research this.
Oh yeah.
Well, because of course, I mean, the chemicals in the lab are quite useful. So
Oh really?
those drugs could, well, I mean, for work,
Oh okay, right.
you have to do science for those.
Right.
Um, But no, so I was like, I'll Google it. And heads up, don't search for fun reality altering drugs
Oh
on
no.
the internet. I might be on a list somewhere now. But I think comedy wise, I think you've got the nice old adrenaline high. I like
Yeah.
that.
Oh yes.
The
Yes. Yes.
post gig adrenaline high. Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, and then but okay, but I was like, okay, I need to come up with something. I need to come up with something fun. So I have a drug for you.
Oh yeah.
It's a very wholesome drug, very entertaining.
Great.
I give it to children
Okay.
when they pay me to. It's fine.
Oh,
The miracle berry.
the miracle berry. Okay.
You can buy them on eBay.
Right.
Basically, they make sour stuff taste sweet.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you
Miracle.
chew it, coat your mouth in it, and then you eat some lemons, and they
Right.
taste delicious.
Okay. Fascinating. That's wow.
As a brilliant perception altering drug.
Oh,
It's a nice
fantastic.
reward for it if you're there.
Wow. Okay. Miracle berry. I'll have to check that out. And is that government approved? Is it or it's just
Highly recommended. No, I came across it because of some teaching thing I did,
Hmm.
and it's great. I mean, they're not illegal. They are berries. They're
No.
literally berries.
Right, oh, right. It's organic. Or
Yeah,
it's like a plant that grows with some berries, and you
berries.
eat
Yeah,
those berries, and they have this effect on and they
yeah.
invert one's taste.
Miraculin.
That right. Wow,
Yeah.
that's
So I even searched how it worked for you. So it binds to the sweet receptors in your taste buds.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And then when you have something sour or something with acid in it,
Yes.
it then makes the miraculin change shape, which
Ah.
then activates your sweet taste buds and
Wow.
tells your brain to think that it's sweet.
Okay. That's
So
amazing.
I properly researched it for you because I
Oh,
was like, I need to make sure I have a brilliant answer.
that is
And
it's a brilliant answer. It's a first of a kind. It's absolutely extraordinary. Wonderful.
they're the best. They're the best. They last for about 2 hours. So
Really? Oh my
yeah, I
goodness.
mean up to.
Yeah.
And again, you can buy them online,
Okay. Right.
and you can get like powder with it and stuff. But it's like freeze dried berry.
Amazing. And presumably it doesn't change the calorific content of the food that you're
Yeah,
eating. So
no, it just
wow,
makes it taste sweet.
this seems to be like an extraordinary diet thing. I mean,
Yeah,
so many
yeah,
people are
yeah.
addicted to sugar and sweet things, but
I should patent it. This is the latest new fad diet for your.
wow.
I mean, okay. I was sure that there will be some sort of long-term effect if you solely eat miracle
Yeah, I can
berries
imagine that
daily.
anything in everything in moderation. Eh? It's
Yeah.
that one was doing this continually. You might end up eating too much acid stuff, and you have terrible stomach
Yeah, well, because
indigestion and so on.
pineapple, lemons, limes, you can eat any of
Right.
them. Strawberries taste disgusting
Okay.
because it's got the sugar and then the acid as well. So
It's
you've
too
just
it's too
it's
much.
too much. It's
It's
too
too much. It's
sugary.
too sweet.
Unless you have a very sour
Yeah,
strawberry,
it
which
makes me think
is
you
so
should try
delicious.
pickles and sourdough bread are things that would be interesting
Yeah.
experiments.
Anything with acid. Interestingly though, like sour sweets don't work as well.
Okay,
So
right.
it's a natural like natural acid does make it is more effective,
Okay.
basically.
Ah, the natural stuff's the best. Yes. Okay. Interesting.
I love my natural acids.
Yeah, natural acid's good. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. What a mind, reality perception altering substance. Goodness.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But it's interesting you mentioned as well that the comedy, and that is, well, I have to say, we're not worthy. What a wonderful answer. But you're talking about the adrenaline high and so on. I mean, I, used to imbibe of the alcohol, quite enjoyed that throughout my life. But when I started doing comedy and was doing comedy in these like alcohol-rich environments, I realized I would need to stop drinking the alcohol in order to survive. And so I have effectively replaced for myself. I now don't drink any alcohol at all, but I sort of do. I'm maybe now addicted to comedy in the way that perhaps I was addicted to the alcohol before, which was maybe not. But you were never a big drinker or imbiber of the alcoholic
I can act like a
liquids.
prat without alcohol.
Okay, yes,
So
yeah,
this is my thing. I pride myself in being a very good contact drunk.
okay,
So the
right,
more drunk you are, the less inhibited I am.
right,
Right.
right,
So, I've never been like too fussed about it.
yeah. Well,
And,
fantastic. Yeah, I mean,
and you have to drive to gigs anyway, so it kind of
yeah,
really
yeah.
limits anything that you can do.
Yeah, and it's become increasingly expensive, and it's just yeah, indeed. No, no, well, that's great. Yeah, I mean, do you feel that? I guess that's interesting because what I'm sensing is you're saying that you're. I mean, I know I've got a bit of an addictive personality, and I've been very, like I tend to the way I control my addictions is by not giving myself access to them. So I've been able to, control alcohol by saying, right, I will just not have any alcohol in the house, and I will
Mhm.
not. I mean, I still go to pubs, for lots of comedy, but I've switched over to drinking soda water, which I actually realized what I really love was the bubbles. I never did the alcohol all along. Could have saved a lot of money. But uh, do you feel addicted to the comedy? Is there a danger with the getting addicted to the adrenaline high or something? Do you think?
I I think if I don't do a gig within like a certain time frame,
Mm.
I start to sort of go, oh, I need, you kind of, oh, I haven't,
Oh, really?
I need to do. No, I'm not like a desperate, like
No,
rocking backwards, forwards in the corner. You kind of go,
no.
oh yeah, no, I haven't done one for. Look, it's been too long.
Mm, mm,
I need to be on a stage with
right.
a microphone that you don't know where it's been, talking random nonsense to strangers.
Right.
Yeah, but I think it's because it's enjoyable and it's fun anyway. I
Mm,
think
mm.
that kind of it has a part to in part to do with it, right? You go, okay,
Sure.
well, I enjoy doing this, and so when I haven't done it for a while,
Yeah.
you notice that you haven't done something that you enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess same with reading a book and or watching a television program or other things that are enjoyable to do. If you don't do it for a while, you'd like, oh, I'd like to do a bit of that.
Again,
Yeah,
I do think that you can probably reach saturation, right? So if I
yeah,
can, I try to get like two-ish gigs a week if I can, if people will
yeah,
let me.
yeah,
Right? I think that
yeah,
more than that, you start to feel a bit frazzled. That being said, I'll do if I've got gigs going,
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
do them.
Indeed,
Um,
indeed. Yes. I mean, there is. I mean, I certainly like in my when I was doing all real world gigs. Yeah. I mean, I would occasionally do more, but two. I think with also having like a family, like that was and the traveling involved in it, and a full time job. That was the practical. This is the magic of the virtual reality is that I'm now doing comedy nightly, and if I was yeah. Because it basically cuts out completely the traveling, and I
yeah.
can do these, half-hour gigs a night, and I guess my poor audience who are just subjected to my endless ramblings. I love it. I get to listen back to it each night as well. Goodness me. Yeah,
I love the
yeah.
response. You go, well, I think I was funny,
Yeah.
and that's that's all that matters. Uh,
Often what I say is like, it doesn't matter how much you guys laugh. The laughter track going in my mind is outstanding. So, I
yeah,
don't really need you to do that, but actually I do need that. This is the thing is, but previously I used to just practice my set nightly, to my couch. I had like a microphone, and this is,
okay.
when I was sort of one trying to like basically get it completely memorized is I would practice it nightly, and then as I try and develop new material, I would just like sort of like make up stuff randomly, talking into the microphone for 10 minutes, and then play it back to myself. And then I realized, oh, after doing the first couple of VR gigs, it's like, oh, there's like people online all the time who might even listen to this stuff, and
Yeah.
thus the comedy booby trap was born. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, well, thanks. It's wonderful to to think that it's not because that it's not like an addictive awful thing. I do know some comics who are like they're sort of doing like three or four or five a night, every day, all day, every day, kind of really really going for it. But I guess these are also people who are trying to
I
make
mean,
it their full-time job. So
you've got to admire it, but I do. It's just really tiring, isn't it? It's just nice to have a sit down sometimes,
oh,
really. It's
absolutely,
that
absolutely,
balance. Well, no, I mean, again, but it's here you go. It's not the hours you do, it's what you do with the hours,
sure.
isn't it? Right.
Mm,
And
mm,
this isn't just me. This is other people who've been doing it for a long time and run like paid stuff. They're like, well,
sure.
you'd probably be better off at home, like relaxing or talking to your friends or something rather
Yes,
than necessarily doing a gig every night for a fortnight, right?
yes, yes, yes.
I think but
Go
like
on.
with everything, right? There are periods of time where you need to do more and periods of time where you can
Yeah.
do less, and so it's a balance of things, isn't it?
Yeah,
Just
absolutely. Well, and I think it connects back to what you're saying about ideas coming up when you're talking to the friends in the pub. Is I think actually yes, and I find that talking to people at work and things is that part of like the generation engine for comedy is that real world experience with people
yeah.
and wordplay and this that and the other and banter and so on. So yes, if you're kind of gigging to the exclusion of kind of living your life, then it all can become a bit stale, can't it?
And it's like that. I suppose here you go. This is where I relate my science training to the comedy. I know that there's only so much that your brain can take before it then stops being particularly creative. Like you can,
Mm,
yeah, you have to give it time to kind of process and relax and
yes,
settle things down. And so a lot of the times you'll go, oh, that's a funny idea. It's
yes,
not ready to be a set yet, but that's a funny
right,
idea.
yes,
And then you leave your brain alone to deal with it and work out
mm,
how to make it funny. And then, like a few weeks later, or a couple of
mm,
months later, or next year, you
yes,
go,
yes,
yeah, that's how I finished that joke, or that's how I put that in that particular format, right? So
yes,
it's giving your brain the space to do it.
yes,
And whilst, I suppose there's lots of material from other comedians that your brain can spark off, but at the
indeed,
same time, it still just needs time to settle. So I
yes,
kind of I apply that to a certain extent.
yeah, well, very, very, very sensible. And I think as there's a very famous Geordie comedian, or is that a female comedian of the female persuasion, who's on telly, and oh, I can't remember her name. But she's got all sorts of wonderful rules. She's been interviewed on many, many podcasts. She talks about the 11 o'clock rule, as in, you know,
Yes,
the 11
Sarah
a.m.
Millican.
Sarah Milligan, of course. Yeah, my memory is going. And I was bringing up because, oh, yes, and she talked on Comedians podcast about, how important it was to get enough sleep and to be
Yeah.
well. and look up, as she talked about like trying to do a gig when she had like terrible toothache, and just how difficult and impossible it was to manage if you're not sort of self-caring in the
Yeah.
modern parlance.
And
Then it could be very tricky, can't it?
and you need to be kind of alert as well, right?
Right.
Because you're basically like you're on and I'm here, I'm being funny, I'm talking to you. Look at how energetic I am. And you have to have that energy. Okay, unless you're low energy. But I'm higher energy than I'm not,
Yes, yes, but
monosyllabic. So you do need to not be completely exhausted
indeed so. And I think even if
to
you're low energy, you still need to be alert to what's happening in the room and being able to respond to it.
yeah.
So yeah, yeah, absolutely.
No, I
Well,
agree.
yeah, well, no, fantastic. I mean, we've covered all of the points. It's been an absolutely fascinating conversation. I mean, Miracle Berry. I mean, I think we have had the best answer to that
I
question.
highly recommend that
Yeah.
everyone goes and buys There'll be a rush on Miracle
Yeah, well,
Berry
we'll
now.
put a link in the show notes. Absolutely fantastic. We heard already that you've got the variables show coming up in April
Yeah.
next year. Have you got stuff that's happening sooner than then that
Yeah.
people can find out about and kind of
So I've got a spot with is Luke Harrower who does shows over in Peterborough. So I got that on Monday next week.
great?
Then I've got a gong show with the commissioner comedy guys at the Portland Arms in Cambridge on the Friday.
All right.
And then, I've got others that are booked in for, but I'm waiting to hear back. I'll harass you for a gig at some point before
Great.
Christmas.
Yes, yes. We'd love to have you. I'd love to have you again at
Um,
Sunset Comedy. And if you'd ever like to try virtual reality comedy, that's also
I am so intrigued by virtual reality comedy.
yeah.
It sounds less upsetting than Zoom.
I think it is much less upsetting than Zoom. It's yeah. You should anyway.
Yeah.
Come. We'll work that all out.
We'll talk after the show.
After the show, absolutely.
Uh,
Yes, and but yeah,
yeah.
we'll get if you have a website with your upcoming dates and things, we'll get that into the show notes and
Yeah.
try and send people your way. Yeah,
Well,
well,
yeah. So here you go. I am on the Instagram and on the Facebook.
great,
So
fantastic.
I'm Dr. Helen 33
Yeah.
on both because 32 other people thought it'd be a good idea to steal my name first.
Ah, these yeah. Someday we'll find a drug that alters the perceptions of people's reality, so the number
Yeah.
33 will seem like the number one. And of course, actually,
You know.
33, of course, was the age of Christ. So in some ways, it
There
is.
you go.
There we go.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Clearly, that's where it's going.
So it's great. Dr. Helen, thank you so much for chatting to us. It's been an absolute delight. I'm just going to wrap up the show, and we'll say good night. As I say, thanks to everyone for listening, and remember you can help support the show by going to patreon.com/comedians on. Well, any level of support will help us continue to produce this show. Please do follow us on Facebook, and we'll see you again soon. Once again, Dr. Helen, thanks so much.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.